The night began with silence. No storm, no sound, just the whisper of wind over an empty street in New York City. The stars shimmered faintly through the haze of the skyline. Then, a flicker, small, distant, like lightning caught behind the clouds. No one looked up. No one noticed the way the sky trembled. But the tremble became a ripple. The ripple became light. And in one breath, the sky split open. Across the planet, telescopes shut down. Satellites blinked out one by one. In orbit, the International Space Station went dark. A signal pierced every radio wave, every frequency, every device. It wasn't human. It was a voice, a cold, echoing hum that crawled into every ear. This world belongs to no one. You had your time. Then came the fire. From the heavens, bolts of plasma streaked down, each one glowing brighter than the sun. New York vanished first. The skyline turned to white, then to ash. In Tokyo, the ground rippled like water as towers folded inward. Over Europe, skies filled with debris. Falling satellites, burning metal, shattered dreams. Airplanes fell like dying birds. Power grids failed. Every screen on Earth went black. Humanity stood in darkness, watching their cities die. In Houston, a young astronomer named Elena Ruiz stared at the sky through cracked glass. Her observatory burned around her, but she could not move. Above her, enormous shadows drifted through the flames. Ships, silent and sharp-edged, larger than mountains. They didn't shimmer or roar. They simply existed, sliding across the clouds like blades. Someone screamed, "They are here!" But no one knew who they were. All across Earth, governments tried to respond. The White House went underground. The United Nations collapsed into static. Armies launched missiles that never reached their targets. They vanished mid-air, swallowed by invisible shields. These beings didn't conquer. They erased. In orbit, one man still lived. Commander Marcus Voss, the last voice from the ISS, floated in the shattered remains of the station. Sparks drifted past his helmet as he stared at the monstrous ships below. His crew was gone, torn apart when the first strike hit. He pressed his gloved hand against a broken console and sent out a desperate transmission. "This is Voss, broadcasting to any survivors. They are not gods. They bleed." For a moment, no one believed it. But then, through the clouds, something exploded near the moon. A blinding flash tore through the black, followed by debris, pieces of an alien vessel, flaming, spinning, breaking apart. Somewhere, somehow, someone had hit them back. Voss smiled faintly. Humanity wasn't finished yet. Back on Earth, chaos spread. Entire continents screamed under the weight of falling fire. Refugees flooded roads that no longer led anywhere. In London, a mother clutched her child under a collapsed bridge. In Beijing, soldiers fired into the sky, shouting through static-filled radios. In the Sahara, a group of scientists hid beneath old mining tunnels, sending coded pulses into the void, searching for anyone still alive. Then, a faint signal replied. It came from deep beneath the Nevada desert, far below the sand. Buried beneath decades of secrecy, old lights flickered on. A massive door unsealed itself, dust falling from its hinges. Inside, rows of dormant machines awakened. A voice, calm, human, spoke through the speakers. Project Firestorm reinitializing. In a steel chamber lit by red lights, General Maya Chen stared at the awakening system. She had heard of Firestorm once, long ago. Rumors of a weapon so powerful it was sealed away by every nation in fear of mutual destruction. Now, it might be humanity's only chance. "Get me anyone still transmitting," she ordered. "Anyone with a signal. We fight back now." Above them, alien scouts swept across the sky. Triangular ships with black hulls, searching for movement, scanning heat signatures. They hovered over ruins, releasing drones that crawled through the wreckage like insects. One of them paused over Nevada. Its sensors caught the faint pulse of electricity, something hidden, alive, awake. The alien craft turned, releasing a shriek that echoed like thunder. Beams of blue light began to gather beneath it. In the control room, alarms blared. Chen stayed at the monitor, eyes wide. They found us. Outside, the desert lit up as the first blast hit, carving glass into the sand. Soldiers scrambled to their stations, powering up ancient defense systems, rail cannons, missile silos, EMP towers long thought useless. In orbit, Marcus Voss caught the spike of energy on his scanner. He recognized the signature, human technology, military grade, buried deep. Someone's still fighting, he whispered. Through his cracked helmet, he could see Earth glowing. Fire consumed half the planet. But he also saw something else, small flays, human counterstrikes, scattered across continents. Even at the edge of extinction, humanity refused to bow. Back in Nevada, Chen's team launched counterfire. Missiles streaked upward, slamming into the descending alien craft. The explosion turned night to day, scattering metal across the dunes. A young engineer shouted, "We got one." Chen didn't smile. "They'll send more." Deep within the bunker, old systems roared online. Monitors displayed schematics of fusion weapons and orbital cannons. The Firestorm logo, an orange flame, lit the walls. She whispered to herself, "We built you for this moment." Far away, in the silence of space, Marcus Voss drifted beside a wrecked solar panel. He stared at the planet below, half burning, half shadowed, and raised his hand in salute. "They wanted silence," he said softly, "but we are the fire." And as if answering his words, something deep within the earth began to hum. Generators shook. Reactors flared. Humanity's last weapon stirred awake. The sky still burned. The world still screamed. But for the first time since the invasion began, the darkness trembled, not from fear, but from the rising heartbeat of defiance. The VRNN were coming for the signal. Project Firestorm was ready. The Nevada desert still smoked from the last strike. Sand turned to glass, jagged and gleaming under the crimson sky. Inside the underground base, alarms echoed through steel tunnels. Engineers and soldiers moved with urgent precision, their faces pale under red lights. The base was no longer hidden. The VR1 knew they were here. General Maya Chen stood before a holographic map flickering with static. Red dots spread across continents, each one a fallen city. The invasion was methodical, not chaotic. The VRYN weren't fighting a war. They were cleansing the planet. "Status on Firestorm," she demanded. A technician's voice cracked with stress. "Core ignition stable. Systems still coming online. But this weapon, half of it's still theory." Chen's eyes narrowed. "Then make the other half reality." The Firestorm chamber shook as heavy machinery activated for the first time in decades. Enormous turbines began spinning. Steam hissed from vents. Deep within the facility, a light ignited, an artificial sun trapped in a glass sphere. In the observation room, Captain Eli Cross watched the glowing reactor with awe. "We're really doing this," he muttered. "We're turning the planet's last secret into its last hope." Chen joined him, her face calm but hard. "We don't get a second chance. If Firestorm fails, humanity goes dark." A distant rumble echoed through the ground. The ceiling dust drifted down like snow. The VRYNN were landing. Miles above, a black ship hovered over the desert. Its surface shimmered with strange patterns, alive and shifting. Underneath its hull, a blue glow gathered, a weapon charging. The command center went silent as sensors picked it up. "They're targeting the entrance," said one soldier. "Seal the upper doors," Chen ordered. "Get everyone underground. Firestorm takes priority." Eli slammed his fist on the console. "We can't just hide. If they breach the reactor..." Chen turned sharply. "If they breach the reactor, we're all ash. You want to fight? Fine. Hold them at the surface. Buy me 10 minutes. He nodded, jaw tight. 10 minutes. That's all." She looked at the glowing Firestorm core. "That's all humanity ever gets." Eli gathered a small strike team, 15 soldiers armed with rail rifles and scavenged alien weapons. They moved through dark tunnels toward the elevator shaft leading to the surface. Above them, the alien warship began its descent. Its massive landing spine sank into the sand, anchoring itself. From beneath its hull, drones pawed out like locusts, sleek, silver, faceless. The desert wind carried the hum of their engines. Eli's team reached the surface bunker. The air was heavy with smoke. Flames burned along the horizon where a human convoy had been obliterated minutes ago. "Positions!" he shouted. "Keep them away from the hatch." Railguns whined as they powered up. The first drone descended. A blue plasma bolt ripped through the sand, searing a trench near Eli's boots. He fired back, a streak of white light tearing the drone apart mid-air. More came. Dozens. Then hundreds. Bullets sparked off alien shields. Human soldiers ducked behind rocks, reloading, shouting to each other over the roar. A drone dived low, slicing through two men before Eli hit it with a shoulder rocket. It exploded, showering the battlefield in molten metal. Inside the bunker, Chen stood before the console. Firestorm's systems glowed green one by one. She keyed into an old network, an encrypted military channel built during the Cold War. Her message blasted across what remained of the world communication lines. "This is General Chen, Command Nevada. Firestorm is active. We are fighting back. All surviving forces, rally. You are not alone." Far away, the signal reached broken antennas and dying radios. In Berlin's ruins, soldiers turned their heads toward the static. In the ashes of Nairobi, a doctor stopped bandaging a child and stared at a flickering monitor. Across frozen Siberia, miners hiding in old tunnels looked up as the message repeated again and again. "You are not alone." In orbit, Marcus Voss caught the transmission through his damaged comms. His oxygen was running low, his visor cracked, but he smiled weakly. "She did it," he whispered. "Firestorm lives." Through the glass of his helmet, he saw the VONN fleet shifting position. They were adjusting their formation, focusing on Earth's western hemisphere. They'd found the signal. Back in Nevada, Eli's team was dwindling. Smoke and dust filled the air. Every blast lit up the night like lightning. His rifle overheated, sparks flying from the barrel. He tossed it aside and drew a plasma blade scavenged from a fallen drone. "Fall back," one soldier yelled. "Not yet," Eli shouted, cutting down another drone. "We hold until Firestorm ignites." A blinding flash tore through the sky. A VRYN war beam struck the desert floor, carving a crater near the bunker entrance. The shockwave hurled Eli backward. He hit the sand, dazed, ears ringing. Inside, warning lights flared red. "Containment breach in Sector 4, yelled a technician. "Stabilize it." Chen barked. "We're almost there." The Firestorm core glowed brighter, humming like a heartbeat. Energy surged through cables, powering long-dormant weapons, satellite cannons, orbital relays, deep-sea reactors. The system was linking them all into one global network. For the first time, humanity had a weapon that reached everywhere. Outside, Eli struggled to his feet, vision blurred. The alien ship loomed above him, its central eye glowing white-hot. It aimed at the bunker. He grabbed his radio. "General, it's now or never." Chen looked at the reactor's monitor. The bar reached full capacity. "Firestorm is ready." She hit the ignition. The desert lit up like dawn. A wave of energy surged skyward, punching through the clouds, striking the VON warship square in the hull. The blast tore it apart. Shards of alien metal rained across the sand. Every human on that battlefield stopped and stared. The impossible had happened. Eli grinned through the dust. "We got them." Inside the control room, Chen exhaled, shoulders sagging. But the screen flashed again. New signatures, dozens of them. They were not retreating. They were responding. The VRYN had found their enemy. And now, they were coming. Smoke rolled across the desert like a living thing. Shattered pieces of alien metal burned in the sand, glowing blue from strange energy. The VRYN warship was gone, its wreckage scattered across miles of dunes. For the first time since the invasion began, the sky over Nevada was clear. Captain Eli Cross stood among the ruins, his armor scorched, his hands trembling. He could still taste the heat of the firestorm blast. Around him, the few surviving soldiers stared upward in silent disbelief. They had seen it with their own eyes, an alien warship, destroyed by human hands. Eli touched his comlink. Command, this is Cross. The first shot worked. Firestorm is active. Deep below, General Maya Chen stood in the control room, surrounded by exhausted technicians. The air smelled of ozone and sweat. The Firestorm reactor pulsed like a heartbeat, steady but unstable. Confirmed, she replied. We're reading massive orbital debris. You did it, Captain. You lit the first flame. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were wet. For weeks, the world had only known terror. Now, it had seen fire and hope. But hope came with a cost. Sensors flared across the board. Red warnings filled the screens. They are scanning us, said one technician. They are angry. Good, Chen muttered. Let them know we can bite. Far above Earth, the VONN fleet shifted. Their formations tightened. From orbit, they began deploying smaller crafts, sleek, winged ships meant for pursuit. A swarm of metallic light rained down through the clouds. In the command room, Chen clenched her jaw. They'll hit back hard. We need defenses active before they find us. Eli wiped the blood from his forehead. We've got wreckage everywhere. We'll salvage what we can. He looked to the horizon. If their ships bleed, maybe their weapons can, too. His team began scavenging the smoking ruins of the downburn-in vessel. The metal was alive, flexing slightly under their tools. Sparks of blue energy flickered where it was cut. One soldier screamed when his glove brushed the surface. His arm went numb instantly. Be careful. Eli barked. We don't understand this tech. But he knew they had no choice. Every fragment was valuable. Humanity's weapons were primitive compared to the VONN's living machines. If they wanted to survive, they'd have to learn fast. Back underground, Chen activated the global relay. Her voice reached what was left of the world. To all survivors, this is General Chen. We destroyed one of their ships. Repeat, one alien warship destroyed. Humanity is still alive. Fight if you can. Hide if you must. But don't give up. Firestorm burns. Across continents, the message echoed. In a collapsed subway beneath London, resistance fighters cheered. In the ruins of Sydney, a group of engineers replayed the signal in disbelief. In the mountains of Chile, old military outposts came back online, sending faint replies through static. Humanity had been broken, but now it was moving again. Meanwhile, in orbit, Commander Marcus Voss watched from the drifting skeleton of the ISS. Through his cracked visor, he saw a trail of smoke rising from Earth's surface. He knew what it meant. Firestorm, he whispered. They pulled the trigger. He switched to a damaged satellite feed. It showed the VONN response. Massive ships repositioning above the planet. He zoomed in, his heart sinking. God help us. The VONN were preparing something new. In the Nevada base, Chen's team detected the same readings. Energy spikes in orbit, multiple sources charging simultaneously. A technician said quietly, they are building something. What kind of something? The screen flickered, resolving the image. Gigantic structures unfolded from the alien ships, towers of light and metal reaching downward, aimed at Earth. They call them purge engines, said Marcus Voss over the open channel, his voice faint through interference. They used them on Corinth 4. I saw the footage. It wasn't war. It was cleansing. Entire biospheres turned to glass. The room went silent. Chen stayed at the feed. Each purge engine glowed brighter, charging with energy drawn from their motherships. How long do we have? She asked. Hours, Voss said. Maybe less. Chen's hands tightened into fists. Then we hit them first. Eli's voice came through the comms. General, the scavenged parts. Some of this alien metal's still alive. We might be able to use it. Can you build something that can fly? He hesitated. Not yet, but maybe something that can shoot. Then build it. Fast. Her gaze returned to the Firestorm reactor. The light inside was growing stronger, almost blinding. They had used only a fraction of its power for the first strike. But the full weapon was designed to link every global reactor into one grid, a single coordinated assault. It was dangerous, unstable, possibly suicidal. But if they didn't use it, the purge engines would burn the planet clean. She turned to her team. Prepare for global ignition. Connect all surviving reactors. One technician looked up, terrified. If the grid overloads, we won't have a planet left to overload if we wait. Above the clouds, the VONN purge engines began to hum. The air around them shimmered. Oceans churned. Storms formed from the heat of their energy buildup. In the desert, Eli's team welded alien shards into human frames. They built crude cannons using plasma cores from dead drones, wiring them to Firestorm's energy lines. The sky flickered blue. The air smelled of static. A soldier asked quietly, "You think we can stop them?" Eli didn't answer. He just stayed upward, jaw set. From orbit, Marcus Voss sent one final warning. Once those engines fire, there won't be a second chance. Light the flame, General. Do it before they do. Chen stood before the ignition key, her face lit by the blinding core. Her voice shook, but her will did not. Humanity's not done yet. She turned the key. A deep rumble shook the earth. Beams of light shot from silos hidden across the globe. Old weapons, new fire. The human counterstrike had begun. But in the darkness above, the VONN purge engines flared to life. Both sides were about to unleash hell, and only one would survive the fire. The world shook. The purge engines in orbit pulsed with light, and Earth skies turned red. Great columns of fire lanced downward, tearing through clouds and mountains. Oceans boiled. Forests flashed into ash. In 1 hour, entire coastlines vanished beneath curtains of molten glass. From space, the planet looked wounded, scars of flame cutting across continents. Yet in the chaos, humanity did not bow. In the Nevada bunker, alarms screamed as shockwaves rippled through the earth. General Maya Chen gripped the console, eyes locked on the glowing reactor core. The Firestorm grid was unstable. They had linked nuclear plants, orbital satellites, and deep-sea reactors, everything humanity had ever built that could hold power. It was madness, but it was working. "Status," she shouted over the roar. "Grid integrity at 62%, a technician yelled. "Europe's offline. Too much interference." "Then reroute through the Arctic array." "I don't care how." The firestorm hum deepened, its pulse syncing with the planet's trembling heartbeat. Chen's team worked furiously, their hands shaking, faces smeared with soot. Every connection mattered. Every second counted. Above them, in the shattered desert, Captain Eli Cross led a convoy of battered trucks carrying salvaged VONN tech. Smoke curled behind their tires as they raced across cracked sand. The sky burned, and yet their headlights cut through it, symbols of stubborn defiance. Through his headset, Chen's voice came faintly. "Eli, we're launching Emberfall in 15 minutes. You need to reach launch site Bravo." He swerved around a flaming crater. "We're moving, General." Got 3 functioning cannons and 2 anti-air pods. The rest melted. "Doesn't matter. We're aiming at the sky." Eli looked up. Above the orange haze, he could see one of the purge engines, a ring of blinding light, rotating slowly, draining power from its mothership. It hummed with a terrible beauty, its beams dancing across the stratosphere. "How do you kill a sun?" a soldier whispered beside him. Eli grinned grimly. "You light another." Back underground, Chen activated the global comms. Her voice reached every survivor who still had power. "This is General Chen. Operation Emberfall is live. All units, fire on orbital targets. Every missile, every railgun, every beam, we hit them together. Humanity stands now, or never." In the Arctic, an old naval base stirred. Submarines breached through the ice, launching missiles streaking into the sky. In the ruins of India, a line of mobile launchers emerged from the dust, firing rockets made from scavenged parts. In Brazil's deep jungles, hidden solar cannons ignited for the first time, their beams slicing into the heavens. Around the world, scattered human forces fired upward, every weapon aimed at the purge engines. The night turned white. In orbit, Marcus Voss watched from the drifting wreck of the ISS. His oxygen was nearly gone, his systems failing, but his eyes burned with pride. He could see it, the Earth fighting back. Light after light rising from the surface, converging into one storm of resistance. "You beautiful fools," he whispered, a faint smile on his cracked lips. He switched to manual thrusters, guiding himself toward a cluster of debris, an old American satellite armed with kinetic rods. He pried open the control panel, rewired the circuits, and set new coordinates. "Target acquired," he breathed. "For home." He hit launch. The satellite shuddered, releasing a steel rod the size of a bus. It fell like a spear, slamming through one of the purge engines. The explosion lit the void, shards of alien metal scattering like burning leaves. On the ground, cheers echoed through command posts and bunkers. "They hit one," a soldier cried. Chen didn't smile. "Good. Now we take the rest." But even as one engine died, 3 others roared to life. Their combined beams converged over the Pacific, carving a hole into the ocean so deep it reached magma. Tidal waves rose like walls, crushing islands in their path. Shouted a technician. "The atmosphere's destabilizing. We're losing climate control. Temperatures are spiking worldwide." Chen slammed her fist on the console. "Hold Firestorm steady. We finish this before the planet cooks." Eli's convoy reached Launch Site Bravo, a half-buried hangar with scorch marks from old wars. Inside stood a massive cannon, dormant for decades. The Solar Lance, Firestorm's first prototype weapon. Engineers swarmed the machine, connecting alien plasma cores and human reactors. Eli climbed the platform, wiping sweat from his eyes. "Status?" A young engineer nodded nervously. "It'll fire, sir. Once. Maybe twice. Once is enough." Outside, drones descended, their weapons glowing blue. The soldiers opened fire, railguns sparking in the dark. Eli grabbed a fallen trooper's rifle and joined the line. "Hold them off until we charge." The Solar Lance hummed as its coils spun, light gathering at the barrel's mouth. The ground shook under its power. Power at 80%. A drone swarm broke through the smoke. Plasma bolts tore through the defense line. Men screamed. Eli fired until his rifle overheated, tossing it aside for another. 9-5. A blue beam sliced through the platform, missing him by inches. The engineer was hit, thrown backward. Eli lunged forward, grabbing the control lever. "Fire!" The cannon roared. A beam of pure sunlight erupted upward, a column of white fire piercing the clouds. It struck a purge engine dead center, ripping through its core. The sky split open. The alien weapon shattered in silence, its remains falling like burning rain. The soldiers stared, breathless. "It worked," someone whispered. Eli sank to his knees, chest heaving. Around him, the desert glowed from the aftershock. In Nevada, Chen saw the readings. They did it. But her joy faded as new signals filled the board. Massive shapes emerging from behind the moon. The room fell silent. "Reinforcements," she said quietly. They called for help. In orbit, Marcus Voss watched as hundreds of new ships slid from the shadows, blotting out the stars. His breath fogged the inside of his helmet. "More are coming," he said into the comms. "I won't make it back, but you have to. You have to light the rest." Static answered him. His systems flickered. Oxygen critical. He stayed once more at Earth, scarred, burning, alive. Light the fire, and never let it die. His voice faded as his suit went dark. Below, Chen closed her eyes for 1 second. Then she turned to her team. "They think we're broken. Let's prove them wrong." Outside, the stars disappeared behind the growing fleet. The second wave had arrived, and humanity was running out of time. The stars were gone. Where once the heavens shimmered with light, now only the cold shapes of alien warships hung like black mountains in orbit. The second wave had arrived, an armada larger than the first. They came in silence, their hulls absorbing sunlight, their shadows stretching across oceans. On Earth, the world dimmed under their presence. The sun was still there, but its light felt weak, filtered through ash and smoke. Cities that had survived the first strikes now trembled beneath the weight of darkness. In the Nevada bunker, the lights flickered. General Maya Chen stood at the command table, staring at a live feed of the sky. Dozens of VONN ships had taken position over each continent. They weren't firing yet. "They are waiting," whispered a technician. "Like hunters." "They are studying us," Chen said quietly. "They've seen Firestorm. They know we can hurt them. Now they want to know how far we'll go." The hum of the Firestorm reactor filled the room, deep and steady, like the beating of a heart. But it was unstable. Its energy grid had been pushed to the limit, and containment fields were straining. Chen turned to her engineers. "How long until the next ignition cycle?" 17 hours. Minimum," one answered. "We're running on fractured power lines. Another full burn could overload the core." 17 hours. Humanity didn't have 17 minutes. "Then we find another way," Chen said. "Get me Captain Cross." Far above, in the smoldering ruins of Launch Site Bravo, Captain Eli Cross sat beside the burnt-out shell of the solar lots. His team had been reduced to a handful. The desert around them was littered with alien wreckage and human bones. The air tasted like metal. His comlink crackled weakly. "Captain, this is Chen. Do you copy?" He pressed his earpiece. "Barely. We're still alive, General. Barely. I need you back underground. We're planning a counterstrike, one that goes beyond the atmosphere." He frowned. "Beyond? You mean into orbit?" "Yes. We've located the VONN command ship. It's controlling the purge engines, the fleets, everything. If we take it down, the rest will fall." Eli stared at the horizon, where the dark silhouettes of ships floated like storm clouds. "How do you plan to reach it?" There was a pause. "We're finishing the Phoenix core." He went silent. Everyone had heard rumors about it. Firestorm's last protocol. A weapon designed to turn Earth's magnetic field into both shield and sword, capable of burning anything that touched it. It was their trump card, but it had a flaw. It needed a manual trigger placed in orbit. A suicide mission. Eli exhaled. "Who's going?" "I don't have enough pilots, and I can't ask someone to volunteer." He didn't hesitate. "You don't have to ask. Send the coordinates. I'll take it." Chen's voice softened. "Eli, if you fail." "I won't. Not while we still breathe." He glanced at the sky again. "If this is what it takes to end it, I'm in." In the control room, Chen closed her eyes. She had expected his answer. He'd been ready to die since the first flame. "Then move fast. We'll prepare the core." Hours later, deep beneath the Nevada sands, the Phoenix chamber opened. Steam hissed as the containment locks released. Inside, a sphere of molten light floated above magnetic rings, raw fusion energy caged by human hands. The engineers worked in silence, their faces pale from the glow. "It's stable," one said. "For now." Chen stepped forward. The light reflected in her eyes, fierce and determined. "Humanity built this from the bones of our past. Now we use it to build our future." Above, Eli Cross's team scavenged one last alien ship, half-crashed, still functional. Its controls pulsed with unfamiliar symbols, its hull alive with flowing circuits. It was dangerous, but it was their only ride to the stars. "Prep her for launch," he ordered. A soldier looked up nervously. "So, you sure you can fly that thing?" Eli smirked. "Not yet, but I'll learn on the way." They loaded the Phoenix core into the ship's cargo hold, locking it in place with steel clamps. The sphere throbbed softly, almost like a heartbeat. As Eli strapped in, the ground quaked. The alien fleet was repositioning. The purge engines began to glow again, charging for one final burn. In the command room, Chen watched their readings spike. "They're going to finish us." "Then we finish first," Eli's voice came over the comms. He powered up the ship. The engines roared, sand whipping into spirals. The desert shook as the alien craft rose, flames trailing from its vents. It broke through the smoke, tearing into the blackened sky. From below, soldiers watched, saluting. Their radios crackled with whispers, "Godspeed, bring us dawn." As the ship pierced the upper atmosphere, Eli saw Earth below, scarred, burning, but still alive. He saw flashes of light from scattered human resistance cells, still firing, still fighting. "Hold on down there," he murmured. "I'll take it from here." In orbit, The alien fleet loomed larger. The VONN ships moved in formation, their shields pulsing like veins of light. The command ship waited at the center, a colossal sphere bristling with weapons and glowing with power. Eli's ship shook as he approached. Alarms blared. Alien interceptors locked on. Plasma bolts streaked past, grazing the hull. He jerked the controls, weaving between explosions. "Come on, hold together," he shouted as the vessel trembled under the strain. Back on Earth, Chen and her team watched the feed from his ship. The connection flickered with static. "Is almost there," a technician whispered. "Get ready," Chen said. "Once the core detonates, Firestorm will sync with it. Every reactor, every cannon, every cell. We go all in." Outside, the sky rumbled. The purge engines reached full charge. Pillars of energy descended toward the planet, boiling clouds, tearing storms into ribbons. Eli dove through the enemy fire, the Phoenix core glowing behind him. He could see the command ship now, vast and terrible, its hull shifting like a living storm. He opened a channel. "General, tell them to keep fighting. No matter what happens." Chen's voice came through the static, low and steady. "We will, and so will you." He smiled. "See you at dawn." With one final surge, he steered straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. The darkness closed around him, lit only by the fire he carried. The battle for Earth's soul was about to burn through the stars.